Hey guys, it's Charlotte,
And Robin.
the Renegade twins, and you're tuning in to the 3 Count podcast.
I'm in fashion, roll with cold passion.
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. That's right. And by now, this is like, 270 something episode. You should be saying with me, I am your Sherpa, because just like your tribal chief, you should just acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring today? You see them right next to me. They come to us from CCW, AEW, UWW, VW, VCW, MPW, Ladies Night Out, PCW, Empower, and GPW. They are the badass twins, Robin and Charlotte, the Renegade twins.
What's up?
Hey.
You ran down.
Hey, I'm just gonna say, I think I'm gonna need every ring announcer to announce us like that.
I know. I'm sitting back. I'm like, well, I didn't know it was like that.
So accomplished.
Yo, I love it. I love the fact that I get to like surprise people with these kind of intros and stuff like that, because like I don't think because like you talk about going on podcasts all the time, right? And then like you meet some of the hosts, and I'm not trying to knock anybody, right? But I've been a part of some of the podcasts where just like, hey, welcome. Yeah, you're part of our podcast. Welcome back. I'm like, why do you sound like the two females from Saturday Night Live?
Boring.
A lot of fun. It's a good time.
That was great. It was fantastic, man. I literally was popping. I was like, wow, I didn't know. I didn't know you knew all that. Right.
Yeah, the research, man. That's what you got to do, right? When you bring on guests, you got to do the research. If you're not doing the research, what are you really doing?
Right.
You're just slinging it for no reason. But yeah, so we were over, you, me, and Chaz. We were all talking at 1CW. We were just chopping it up, having a good time. And then I was like, yo, y'all definitely should come on the podcast. And sure enough, here we are. And it was so funny because we were all connecting on different levels with like different wrestlers. It was just so funny. And I was like, this is like the kind of discussions that people should be hearing and checking out. And that's why I don't know if you guys saw, but Jay Lee, they put up the post, and I was like, your guys' post about being funny. And I was like, I wish somebody was recording the conversation that Chaz and I were having with y'all.
Man.
And we're goofy, and most people don't even realize that we're super goofy because we're so like mean or like try to be mean in the ring, and we put off like this really hardcore character.
But there's a lot of moments in life where we're like, dang, if we only had a camera. If we only had a 24/7 camera that ran, the stuff we would catch on camera is amazing.
It's crazy.
And it's not just us, it's our whole family.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice. No, I feel that same way. I know like between me and my daughter, like we have like all these great like inside jokes, and my wife kind of looks at us like, if only somebody was like watching y'all through a lens, it'd be better. So I can definitely relate. Yo, it was funny. So I wanted to share the story with y'all, and I meant to do it at 1CW. I kind of missed out, and so I was like, let me talk about it here, right? So I was on TikTok, right, and one of y'all's matches came up, right, and y'all did the switch, and somebody in the thread, right, was like, who's these Bella Twin knockoffs? I was like, first of all, that's the Renegade twins. Get your shit together. And they're fucking more badass. So I was like, you better line up. But I was like,
well,
why was it necessary?
I appreciate you having our backs.
Right, agree. I mean, that's something we hear a lot, is Bella Twin wannabes.
Since the moment we started, it's always been, you guys are the Bella Twin wannabes. And then everybody decides who we are as the Bella Twins.
Yeah. I will say this, not that we don't want to be the Bella Twins, but we don't want to be the Bella Twins.
Like, we'd like to make our own legacy. Like, yes.
Thanks for coming before us.
And we know that they're like the first set of twins that are like, their gimmick is twins, you know?
Yeah.
And there's very few twin tag teams out there, like true legitimate.
And especially women's twins tag teams.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I understand why we get compared to them, but we are making our own legacy.
We're trying, at least.
Well, I find so like everybody's got like their own. Like I swear, no one's compared me to anybody yet, and I'm kind of grateful for that. But like I know a lot of friends, like Chaz gets it a lot, where people will be like, "Oh, you're like Kofi Kingston." I'm like, dude, No, he's not. Like, first of all, Kofi is like 210. Chaz is like $150, maybe. Like, no. I was like,
That's
so
so funny.
comparisons like don't make sense. Like, I'm just like, I get frustrated. So I'm like, yo, like they're individuals. They're trying to make their own path, and you guys keep trying to put them in a box that they clearly don't belong in.
Oh yeah, it's.
I will say we did watch their biography, like the Bella Twins story. And Robin and I are more similar to the Bella Twins than I think like we realized in a lot of the ways that we think on wrestling and like our previous sports and stuff.
Right.
Like,
well, also keep in mind, like, we didn't grow up watching wrestling like that.
Mm-mm.
We got into wrestling around, 17, 18 years old?
Yeah, so around like
so we were really late to the party.
2018.
Yeah, we were really late to the party. So, like...
I mean, we did watch wrestling as kids, but it very quickly led to jumping off tops of bunk beds, having Hell in a Cell matches in the snow, on the trampoline. It just led to a lot of crazy stuff that didn't need to happen, and there was 3 of us. So my granddad and my mom and dad were like,
we're cutting
no
that
more
out.
wrestling.
they cut that out. And then, like, we kind of lost interest in it because, you know, as first off, parents take it away, and then you kind of grow up and you kind of realize it's fake, and it kind of takes the magic out of it for you, and you kind of don't want to watch anymore. And then one day, I think me and my dad were just scrolling through TV, and we just kind of watched it. And it was just
you know the reason why you watched it.
Yes, but we don't got to talk about that. So just as a little like hint towards that, I am the biggest Roman Reigns mark.
And this was like, this right here sparked the love of Roman Reigns.
Yes.
That's the whole reason we started watching wrestling.
Yes, Roman is the only reason I started watching wrestling. I didn't know much before. Like we said, we didn't watch very much. So the Bella Twins, like, and everything that they were doing was before our time.
And it was not much before our time either. It was only like a year or 2 before we started watching that they were doing all their stuff.
But again, we weren't like those super hardcore fans, you know, the ones that like know all the indies. I had never been to an indie show until we decided to think about going and pursuing wrestling.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny because like for me, like I got introduced to it through my aunt, and like I always talk about the story, and I'll share it with you guys afterwards because everybody, it's like I said, it's probably like 200 episodes now, and I've probably mentioned it so many times. But what's funny about it is that like my aunt was the one to introduce me into wrestling, and then like as I got older, I kind of fell out of love with it, and then I got into like my friends were all like, we got a trampoline, we should go do wrestling moves. And I was like, I'm all about this life. And then like I went into high school and joined a wrestling team, and I thought that was supposed to be like that, but it wasn't. And I got sucked into that world of amateur wrestling, and then I eventually found my way back into pro wrestling, which is funny because you guys mentioned it being that you guys got into it late, but I mean, in retrospect, it's gonna sound funny. I'm turning 37 this year. Like I got into it, and I've only been in like 3 years, so I got into it late. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Like actually starting wrestling, we were very fortunate to be able to start when we started at 18, right?
Yeah, we started at 18.
We started at 18. So we were very fortunate, and I guess like in the world of wrestling, we are still considered babies, and like back then we were still considered babies. But like actually watching wrestling and understanding like who people are and stuff.
We'll be very honest with it and open. We have a hard time struggling like with our history in wrestling. Like, of course, we know our basics, but if you were to name like some off the cuff wrestler from like, let's say WWF, and we wouldn't. Nope, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Which is, I feel like it's frowned upon sometimes.
It's bad. I say this all the time, like, and I wish it was different. I wish like if you said me specifically, I cannot say for Robin, but me in a room full of all of the veterans of wrestling and told me to name as many as I could, I'd get less than 20%. I can guarantee
But you gotta
that.
think about the aspect of like the sport itself, right? Almost 100 years. Like that's and further back, right? Because I mean, I know, okay, guys, I know out there, right? Abraham Lincoln was a professional wrestler, yes. But you're talking about
Wait, what? Don't just skip over it. Don't just skip over it.
Yes.
Talk about how our president was a professional
We got-
wrestler.
Was he a wrestler,
okay.
or was he an amateur wrestler?
No. He was a pro wrestler. He fixed fights. for yeah. So he was yeah. Somebody in the comment section is totally gonna write this in that they're like, what? Like, yeah. So we've had 2 presidents that are considered not workers, wrestlers, right? I guess we'll put them, or people who are in the sports entertainment business, depending on who you talk
2
about.
of
But yeah,
them. Who's the other?
Donald Trump.
I
I
forgot about that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so it's funny because like if you think about the aspect of like wrestling, like there's a lot of history to learn, and you're like, I've had people kick back to me, and I've gone back and had to research certain people because like I remember when I first started getting in, people were like, "Oh, you got like this Nick Bockwinkel kind of thing." I'm like, "Yeah, who's Nick Bockwinkel?"
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, all right, well, I gotta go research and I gotta go learn. But I was a kid that grew up from like Jake the Snake in the 90s and so I like would slowly pitch in, but I didn't even know about the indies until like late 20s, and I really wasn't even paying attention like that. So my trainer always made fun of me. He's like, "Oh, you don't know Claudio?" I'm like, "Who?" I'm like, "Cesaro." I'm like, "I do now." So yeah, I definitely understand. And it's like everybody just looks at you kind of funny. They're like, "How do you not know who Fire Ant is?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, like I don't know what you're talking about." And they're like, "Well,
I
that's
know
Orange
what
Cassidy."
a fire ant is. I don't want to go.
They
I don't
bite
mess with
pretty
those,
bad.
right? We don't fuck with
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, so I mean, but there's like you're trying to learn about every single wrestler and it's impossible, and it's like that makes it so hard. So I definitely relate to where you guys are coming from about like having to go back and learn the history of everything, right? It's hard. It really is. So a question I want to ask, because we talked about how you guys got into the sport, I want to know, like, y'all gotta have them. What's the worst bump you've taken?
Okay, I know mine right off the top of my head. It wasn't like I don't mind taking them now, but I was so green at the time, and I was Gumby when I first started wrestling. I was so loose, and I was like a limp noodle, as we like to call it. So I was very just like get picked up and slammed on my head because I didn't tuck my chin enough. So for me, one of the worst bumps I think I've taken was we were in training, and one of my male training mates, I guess we would call him, was giving me a spine buster. He was giving me the big old rock twisty boy, right? And he gets me up there, and I'd never taken a spine buster, let alone from a man. So he picks me up, and he starts to spin, and my eyes bug out of my head. And he puts me down. I blacked out. As soon as my head hit that mat, I was gone. And I wake up, and I'm laughing, and I'm crying. And he goes, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm just bawling, going, "Yeah, I'm fine. What move was it?" Like I didn't know I just took a spine buster just 30 seconds prior to that. And then I lost 2.5 hours of time afterwards. And the only thing I remember is driving home at the end of the night, looking at Robin and being like, "It's time to go home."
Yeah. I would have to say, I feel like I know what gave me the concussion, like the bump that gave me the concussion. But then there was another bump that came afterwards that I don't remember the bump. So maybe that solidified the concussion. I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what happened. So,
that same
match.
Dude, yeah, my bump was pretty bad on that one too.
Yeah. So we were wrestling. We were wrestling in a show, and I got hooked for a Snapdragon. I took the Snapdragon, but I landed on her chest instead of like, I don't know what happened. It was a miscommunication, but I landed on her chest and my head snapped back. And I specifically remember, damn, that hurt. The next move that I took was a cannonball off the apron, but I didn't catch her right. And so
it was just cheeks to face.
Oh,
like,
dude, she killed me. And keep in mind that there was like this like inch padding on concrete.
So but her head was just this far off that inch padding. So she smacked her head on the concrete.
Oh, dude. I blacked out. I had no idea what was going on. I finished the match.
I don't know how. And I didn't realize that she was messed up until the finish when I was looking for her and she wasn't anywhere to be seen. I was like, oh, wow, maybe she really is messed up. So, but that same match, I did a tope and I dove. This is right before. It's
right before the cannonball.
Right before.
Oh no!
It was right after Robin dies with the cannonball. I go to do this tope and Lita myself,
and because I wasn't
completely
So
into
I
this
wasn't
man's
there.
knee. So like it was just like right up my nose. Thought I broke my nose.
So I wasn't there for that. I remember why, because I had just died. But I was supposed to be Cannonball. Charlotte, me and Chick are like selling up. Charlotte comes through with the suicide dive. Girl hits the moonsault. But it just didn't happen that way.
It was crazy
not
mess.
good. And it was terrible. We finished the match like we said. We cut a promo, both of us. I don't know.
And this is my favorite part. Let me tell, because you were concussed. So my favorite part about this entire thing is I'm trying to speak, and at this like particular promotion, we really hadn't gotten an in-ring promo at this point, so no one's heard us speak. So as soon as I open my mouth, everybody's booing, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just let this settle for a second. And as I'm letting it settle, Robin grabs the mic from my hand and goes, "Can y'all shut up so she can finish speaking?"
Oh,
And I was like,
there was no reason. There was no
my
reason.
mouth dropped open in the middle of the ring. I was like,
Yeah,
she didn't just do that.
There was no reason at all. And so we finished
We all
the whole
faces?
thing. We went to the back, and apparently we had a conversation about the match about twice. Athena was there. Athena was our agent, so she was the one helping us backstage. And I specifically remember like walking through the back doors and walking in and looking at her and be like, "So we gonna talk about this match or what?" And she looks at me and she goes, "Oh, honey," and I just start bawling.
They had talked about the match like 2 or 3 times.
Dude, it was bad.
At one point she thought it was we were post intermission.
Oh,
and she thought intermission had already come up. She's like, "Yeah, so like it's intermission right now, right?" It was the end of the show. No, it's not intermission.
Damn.
I was messed up.
All right, so first question I have to ask: were you guys faces or heels? Like
Heels.
After? Okay,
We
so I
were
guess
heels
it kind of
before
works.
and after.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I love when people like just like, so I normally work as a face, right? And that's like my character. But because I've been running with Pure Ignorance now for a little bit, like getting the crowd to like heal it up is probably like one of my favorite things that I've like experienced, right? And like especially at 1CW, there's this one little kid who was just like booing me like hardcore. And I remember looking at him, I was like, don't boo me. I've seen what makes you cheer. It's disgusting. And like just shut down the kid.
Yes.
It's my favorite thing to do. Like right now, I'm just like, yeah, just nah.
Dude, that's amazing.
Gotta love it, man.
Sometimes I wish I was like quick and witty. Like sometimes I am. On a good day, I am. I'm very quick and witty on a good day. But on a bad day, man, I'll look at you and I'll just be like, yeah, screw you. And I'll just keep walking.
I had one I had one person, they were there with like a t-shirt, and it had like the flag with the red stripe on it, right? And he was like, "Yeah, I'm a volunteer firefighter." I was like, "That's weird. Who wants to be a weekend firefighter? That's crazy." And I walked away. And he was like, yo, he started laughing, and then like this was like my favorite thing that happened. So this mom was like talking trash. And she was talking about Chaz, and she goes, "Your boy looks a little frail." And I was like, "You can't spell frail." And she's like, "Yes, I can." I was like, "Go ahead, spell it for me." And she was like, "F," and then I just walked away. Like, I didn't let her finish.
Yep. So good.
I was like, "You had that coming." She was
great.
so
Gotta
like
love it.
by the end of the match, she was so mad that when Chaz and Prince and Noah like came to where I was in front of the entrance, I was like, "Look who's mad." And she was just like, "I hate you cheaters. You guys suck. You guys are the fucking worst." And like the kid next to her was crying in tears, just bawling, right? Mind you, we talked to them afterwards, but this mom was like, I think it was the aunt, but she was like, she said something, and I was like, "We don't care." And we just pulled everybody to the back.
Oh, dude. There was this one time we were in Texas, and we were it was the school show that we were doing up there. We came out for a promo.
I'll never forget this.
We bombed the promo, first things first. Also, keep in mind that we've only been in Texas and training at this school for maybe three weeks by this point. Not even. I don't even think that long. So we didn't really know we didn't know the like the coaches. We didn't know the people.
We knew the coaches, but we didn't know the coaches' family.
Right.
This is the important part of this story.
So
Yo, I
we
already know where this is
come
going.
back,
This is great.
we come through the back after the promo, and this lady stands up and she gets in our faces and she starts calling us bitches and whores. I've never been called a whore at a show. She called me a whore. It was crazy.
I didn't hear it. I didn't know what was going on.
It was crazy. She called me a hoe. Let me say it right. She called me a hoe. Okay, but it got me. And I'm looking at her, and something clicked for me. Like, she was feeding so much energy that I just fed it back. And I looked at her, and I said something, and I can't remember what exactly I said, but I remember calling her a hoe back. Sorry, one of our coaches just came in, but I remember calling her a hoe back.
She called her an old ass hoe. She said, "Fuck you, you old ass hoe." And then the woman comes back and she goes, "Fuck me? Fuck you."
Yo, but she came in
and then
first.
We walked through the back of the curtain, and the coach, who's related to this woman, goes, "Oh, great, you've met my mother." And we're like,
dude.
like, we immediately went into apologizing. Everybody was like,
I looked at him. I was like, I think I just called your mom a hoe. I'm so sorry.
Bruh.
I think my favorite thing I've ever said to a fan, we were actually at AEW. It was this past loop last month. And there was this kid in there, and he was booing the crap and just, like, talking so much crap, you know? And it's not even good stuff. It's just annoying at this point. And I turned back and I look at him, and he was obviously looking for my attention. So I turn back and I look at him. It's this skinny little country kid with a hat on and a little beard or a little mustache. And I told him, I was like, "You look 12 years old with a pedophile mustache. Don't talk to me." And the entire crowd was like, "Oh!" I was like, that was pretty good.
So I love going into darks and being able to make the entire room, because it's only like 500 people, like
Right.
tops. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't keep that many people in there. It's a very small building. So it's really only like 500 people, but it's like working an indie show, a very professional indie show. You can very much like talk and interact with the fans. And I remember one of my first times ever going out there and getting the whole room to react. Me and Charlotte, I had a match, and then she had a match. And Charlotte came out with me the first time, and we had done so much crowd interaction and getting them so angry that 10 matches later, when Charlotte had her match, they remembered her and immediately booed her when she walked out. Like, there was no entrance. She just is walking back, and they're booing the shit out of us. And I was like, man, this is great. Like, I really love doing that in dark, because it's just, I don't know.
It's a very intimate crowd or fan experience.
Yeah, I was like, I know when I watch y'all on Dark, right? Not just y'all, but I mean, like, my friend Ben Bishop is also like, he's on the show too. Yeah, so when I watch Big Ben on the show, I'm like laughing because I'm like, yo, I know him in real life, and to see them as like a heel, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're like, I guess it works.
Yo, let me ask you a question, right? So you guys usually at these shows, you guys go all over the place. I just need to know, what's your guys' post-match meal?
Most of the time, our post-match meal is actually like whatever we can find in the little thing at the Marriott hotel we're staying in. That's true. Most of the time, that's what it is. Or if like we're with someone driving back to a hotel or something like that, it's probably a quick stop at a McDonald's or a Wawa. I hate Wawa. It's disgusting. But
or a 7-Eleven. We'll stop at a 7-Eleven.
And I don't eat their food.
Yeah.
You just get a bag of chicharrones and keep it moving.
Yeah, honestly. But I will say this, we do this all the time. Any hotel we're at, we kind of go down to the like little snack thing and we just kind of rate it.
Most of the time they'll have like a little mac and cheese cup or a can of ravioli or something like that. So it's okay.
Hey, sometimes you'll get some Hot Pockets, bro. You'll get a good one that has some Hot Pockets.
My favorite post-match meal, though, I will say, is the very first CCW show a year ago.
Oh.
It was so good. We had finally made, like, I remember it was our first, like, really big, like, large amount of money that we had made at a show. And me and Robin were like, ooh, what can we do with this money? Like, it was burning a hole in our pocket. And me and Robin were like, well, you know, all this water around us, they have to have some kind of good seafood. So Robin, Cat, Spencer, and I all went after the show to a local like seafood place. It was called like Fisherman's Wharf or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we went there and we ate loads of crab legs and lots of mussels and all types of stuff. That was my favorite
Yeah,
post-match
I
meal.
agree. I agree on that.
That's
I
right.
don't know. Us personally, we kind of just do whatever. I remember when we first started wrestling, a very big like go-to after each show was a Waffle House. All of our friends used to just pack up and go to a Waffle House. And just
Yeah, but
eat.
I'm an old woman. I don't have patience for that anymore.
Yeah, I kind of feel that. I kind of
Okay.
feel that. Half the time I'm just tired. Like after this past show, I was so tired. Kayla wanted to go out, and so
we went to Applebee's.
Right, we went to Applebee's, and the only thing that was keeping me like going to Applebee's was the spinach artichoke dip that was there. I really wanted to like. I just wanted that. I was so tired.
You're just sitting there, just like
I was
shoving it in
so
your
tired,
face.
and I just had no energy, and I was like, I'm gonna eat this spinach artichoke dip and go to bed.
I hear you. Well, it's funny, like for me, because I live 2.5 hours from like Houston, right? So like I drive
Is
out
that
there.
how you say
And
it?
what's that?
Is that how you say it? Houston?
Yeah, it's Houston.
Why is that spelled like Houston?
Yo, I had the same question. I had the same when I first went out there, right? I did my first promo. I was like, we're gonna be in Houston, Delaware, right? And then I got there, and then someone corrected me on how to say it, and I was like, oh, bet, all right, Houston it is. And then every time like I'm there now, I just hear Houston. And so now I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to Houston, Texas, or I'm going to Houston, Delaware. I was like, now I've got like things finally
There you
separated.
go. I
But
didn't know that was a thing either.
Nice. Yeah.
Yo, so another question I wanted to ask, right, is what's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn?
How to keep my mouth quiet sometimes. Well, that's a life one. That's not even just a wrestling one, Like sometimes there's appropriate times to keep your mouth quiet and not say anything, Like the best thing to do is not say anything at all. That is just a life lesson though.
Yeah.
And wrestling, what have I had to learn? What's the hardest
I
thing?
would feel like mine is temper. I'll tell you guys this. When I first started wrestling, I was very, very, I won't say snug. I was stiff. I was unsafe. I was, and I was very easily angered. So with being already stiff and being easily angered, it was very quick for me to like, I wouldn't say hurt somebody because I've never hurt anybody in my career, but definitely beat your ass and unnecessarily. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like for me, wrestling has definitely taught me how to curb my temper, how to learn how to be patient. There's been multiple times, especially in the last year, that I've been in the situations where, looking back, like a year before, I would have been pissed that I was even in that situation in the first place. I would have gone into it angry and guns a-blazing, and like now I'm way more level-headed, way more patient. Yes, I won't say I'm quick to temper, but I'm if you push me hard enough, I'll be mad. But it takes a lot now. It takes a lot of things, and I have to feel like it's something that has gone completely out of the way. But I feel like for me, it's been a lot of patience and temperament.
Yes.
I like that though. Yeah, that makes sense. Especially with and like you said, it was a good life lesson. It's kind of know like not to say anything, and then also practice patience. Like that's massive. So those are like great lessons to be like to learn, especially in life. But here's one that I would say: if someone that was wanting to get into the wrestling business came up and asked you for advice, what kind of advice would you give them?
Do you want to get this one?
Yeah, I can. Okay. Something Robin, we've been asked this question a couple times before, and something Robin and I believe very strongly in is like, don't let anybody tell you no.
Don't give up.
Don't give up, because this industry is what our coaches like to say, a complete mind fuck. And if you're not careful, you will find yourself in a bad place where, like mentally, whether it be mentally or physically or whatever, but you'll find yourself in a bad place where you're like,
you don't know what to do.
Do I want to do this anymore, or is it not worth it anymore? But hard work doesn't go unnoticed. I will say that. It goes a long way.
I would just say, like piggybacking off of Charlotte, if it's your dream, if it's what you want to do and you enjoy it and you love it, never let anybody tell you no. Like I've learned in this business that you Sometimes, yes, it's in the hands of other people. But for the most part, your career and your choices and how you are looked at and taken and booked and how people perceive you is all on you. You control that. So with that being said, don't ever let someone tell you who you should be, where you should go, how you should do it. And I'm not saying don't listen to people
At all.
like, yes, and I wouldn't say don't listen to people that have more experience than you. Charlotte and I would not be the people that we are today if we didn't have those older, those more experienced, those who care.
Yes.
Charlotte and I have not made it to this point, even though it's very, very small drop in the water. But we wouldn't have made that drop in the water
without the other people around
without
us.
anybody else. So I'm not saying don't listen. But what I am saying is never take no for an answer. Never take no for an answer.
I like that because one of the things that in the military that people always talk about, and this was something that I learned very early, was that if you say yes, it means your enlistment stops, right? But if you say no, it means new opportunities. So like, don't take no for the answer. Just understand it. There's a new opportunity always. So I like that. I like that a lot. That would definitely be something that people need to pay attention to and listen to. Last question before we jump into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast, and it's simple. You guys have been in a lot of different locker rooms, so you probably have a bunch of these, but I need to know one do and one don't of the locker room.
One don't, or no, one do that I will say. Do clean up after yourself when you leave a locker room.
Yes.
Please and thank you.
Yes.
It's not the promoter's job. He or she is not your parent to clean up after you. They are not a maid. We are all adults. And if you are not 18 and you're doing this and you want to say, I'm not an adult, well, you're old enough to do this as a job. You're old enough to clean up after yourself. Please just clean up after yourself. It's crazy how many times you have to talk to adults about cleaning up after themselves. Please just clean up after yourself. If you throw something on the floor, pick it up. If you leave a water bottle, throw it away. Easy stuff.
I would say a don't. I feel like I haven't had very many bad experiences in a locker room, and when I did have bad experiences in a locker room, it was because of an attitude problem. So I feel like that's a very big don't. Don't have an attitude. Don't have an ego. Don't walk around like you have this chip on your shoulder. We're all on the same level, even if we're not. We're all on the same level. We're all working towards the same goal. We're all trying to do the same thing. Don't act like you're better than anybody in that locker room, especially if you're not.
Yeah, and I feel like, and it's something that I've talked about in a couple different episodes, with a couple other people. It's like you got into the professional wrestling business, which the first word there should tell you everything you need to know right off the jump. Like, be a pro, be a professional, act like you've been there before, and just follow suit. Like it's crazy because this is one thing I can't stand is like seeing people who just like take candy wrappers, right? Just simple stuff and just leave it on the ground. They're like, nah, dude, like just pick it up, just throw it in the trash. It's legit. I've seen people throw it on the ground and the trash can is right next to them. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that dude from like TikTok.
Yeah.
Just like knock it off. All right, so let's get into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast. You're probably trying to figure out what the first one is. It's easy. It's right there. It's the Red Dogs Power Rankings. Usually you can find them on our debate show, but sometimes because I don't watch I don't get to talk about wrestling as much anymore. So on our debate show, it is what it is. But we're going to get into the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. This is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at y'all. So whatever's your answer, that's your answer. And I'm pretty sure you guys.
Wait, is it one per piece, or does she answer a question, I answer a question?
Oh no, it's one per piece.
So she gets one, I get one, or both answer the question at the same time?
So another question: is it 20 questions total, or is it 10 questions total?
Oh no, it's 10 questions. I just want 2 answers.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So we're gonna put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
Raw.
Yeah.
Sonic or Mario?
Mario.
Sonic.
Favorite movie?
James and the Giant Peach.
Harry Potter.
Nice. PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox.
PlayStation.
Favorite cartoon?
Oh, Big Mouth.
Centaur World.
Hey,
no, Disenchantment. I take it
back. Legion of Doom or the Heart Foundation?
Legion of Doom.
Oh, Heart Foundation. That's so hard.
Favorite actor / actress?
Zac Efron.
Dwayne Johnson.
Nice. Android or Apple?
Apple.
Android.
This is why I love this. Favorite podcast?
You.
Yes, the 3 count.
Right. It's not like we have this marketed everywhere. Subliminally, you're putting it in your head. Here's one. Here's a good one too. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Oh, that's such a wow.
So are you looking for singles? Are you looking for tag teams? Like,
Have you ever interviewed Culture Inc? Like the entire group?
Not the entire crew. I have had Nick Holiday on though, so I haven't.
Nick
been able to do the whole
Holiday,
group
that's
yet, but
my
yes.
guy.
I was gonna say, you
Yes.
should try to
You-
get the whole crew together.
Yes.
They are a hoot when you get
Oh,
all of them
dude.
together.
Yes,
Yes.
culture. Yes, culture. F and Inc. is all. I'm all about that life.
Yeah, they're great.
Culture
So,
Inc.
last
and then
question.
Kaya Dream, her too. She's amazing.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
funny, man.
And she actually works up at CCW sometimes as well.
I know. I can't wait till I get to run into her because I'm a huge fan of Culture Inc. So I was like, I can't wait. So this is normally the last question. I know I just asked 10 questions, but this is normally the last question because I love asking this question. Every person who comes on the show, favorite curse word.
Fuck. It's so universal.
Yeah. I can say angry. I can say
You can
happy.
say, that's the one word in any country in the entire world that you go and say, and everyone's gonna know that you're angry.
Yep.
Everybody knows.
It's a noun, it's an adjective, it's a pronoun, it's literally everything. So
You can put it into words to
Yes.
make that word amplified. I love that part.
yes.
I
People
also
look at
think bitch is a really good cuss word too.
Bitch is a really I think
Yeah.
those are my top two.
I think bitch because those are our top 2. I do know that I use the word fuck way more than I should, and way more than I use any other cuss word ever.
But it's been that way our entire lives.
So I use the F word religious, like it's become its own language with me, like just like drinking water. So I wanted to bring back another word that I felt like was just gonna be just another one that's gonna be. So I do call people bitches. You ever see the show Hollywood, Husbands of Hollywood or Hollywood? Yeah, Husbands of Hollywood. So I've
I've
been
heard
walking.
of it.
So I've been walking around my work, and I was like, look at all these Mitches in here.
Yes. Yes.
So that's all I do now. I'm just like, look
So
at you,
good.
little
Oh,
Mitch.
that's gonna be good. I'm taking that.
So good.
Bet. Well, listen, those are all my questions. So the last thing I have for you guys is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Ooh, that's
Alrighty.
always a loaded
I was
question.
gonna say I'm gonna let Robin do this one. We're actually going to give you guys just our Renegade handles. At those handles, you will be able to find both of our singular tags. Our Instagram
Sorry, gotta pull
is
them up, guys.
renegade.twins, and our Twitter is
I think it's Renegade.
I think it's
_twins.
Renegade_twins. Either way, look up
Yes.
the Renegade Twins, and we will pop up.
There you go. They gave you all the handles. They told you where you can find them. And then you know what that means. Like every great part of a wrestling match, we got to take it home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Into Ring. And like I said, I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficient than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's into the ring. And who's into the ring today? You see them right there. Charlotte and Robin, the Renegade Twins. And you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you're literally hitting subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're following us on all of our social media platforms. They're right there on the bottom. You're buying our merch on ProWrestlingTees.com/the 3 Count Podcast. You see the shirt right there in the middle. And then, you're telling all your friends to come check us out because you love all the wrestling people that we have on our show. You're either doing that, or you're really just waiting for this episode and you're waiting for that outro. And then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Peace.
Bye.
What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want you to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3 Count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment.
We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. Oh! At ProWrestlingTees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So, show us some support, please.